Update 3.0 introduces 4 new weapon refines for Sophia, Klein, Delthea, and Sonya. Delthea and Sonya will be sharing their refines with Lind and Merrick respectively, but since those two have their own unique refines already, I won't be focusing too much on them. Now, as a reminder, completely new weapons must be first learned with SP. For this group, that will be Sophia and Klein. They must be 5 stars before you can obtain their weapons. Once everyone has learned their respective weapons, you can pick up the refined upgrades in the Weapon Refinery. Each option costs 200 Divine Dew, which is a very precious resource, so be sure you spend it wisely. In this video, we'll cover all the new effects, and I'll be suggesting some build ideas if you do decide to upgrade. These are always fun to talk about, so let's get started. Sophia is a red infantry mage, and she was considered to be pretty bad at the start of the game. She has since then found her niche in being one of the best red Raven Tome users, at least if you're on a budget. Her new weapon, the Eternal Tome, embraces the Raven Tome niche and is essentially a stronger Raven Tome. It has slightly higher might and the same effect, granting Sophia weapon triangle advantage over colorless units. This is a great help when fighting archers and dagger users, and while we don't have too many of them just yet, colorless dragons and beast units are affected too. Regarding the special upgrade, Eternal Tome gets the effects of Bracing Stance too. If the foe initiates combat, Sophia gets +4 defense and resistance. This is a simple but great stat boost. Sophia is incredibly slow for a mage, but puts all those points into her defenses. 40 HP, 28 defense, and 29 resistance is actually quite solid, and she has a good 33 attack. This is a fantastic stat line for an enemy phase Raven Tome user. Sophia wants to bait colorless or green foes, and this gets her +4 defense and res. If you've built up a Raven Tome Sophia, then nothing really changes for her. She will be able to do her job even better with the Eternal Tome. Building Raven Tome mages hasn't changed too much. The most classic skill pairing is Triangle Adept, which bolsters Sophia's ability to fight green and colorless foes. The Raven Tome really does fill a certain niche, and since Sophia is so slow, she has a tough time against red or blue threats. Triangle Adept makes Sophia really good in one area, and while some people don't care for it, it's a super cheap build. Breaker skills are popular choices for Raven Tomes if you want added flexibility, but you can't go wrong with Quick Riposte. Sophia can one-shot super squishy units, but for safety you probably want the guaranteed follow-up. With Distant Defense, Sophia and the Eternal Tome gets her +10 defense and res against ranged threats, and if you give her field buffs, she can easily reach into the 40s for both defensive stats. Whatever Raven Tome setup you like to use, if it worked before, it will continue to get the job done. While the classic skills are easier to get, we've got some new players I want to discuss. While I think Triangle Adept is very useful, it does get hard countered by Cancel Affinity. It's not a common skill, but to avoid this, you can substitute it for skills like Distant Defense or the Bond skills. Tag and Defense Bond is a nice Sacred 2 option if you need Distant Defense on another unit. As for Null Sea Disrupt, this new skill will allow Sophia to fight back against Fire Sweep bows and staffs with Dazzling Staff effects. This is a somewhat crucial ability because both are popular weapons, and if you want a unit specifically for countering colorless units, you definitely want them to be able to fight back. While Sophia can definitely tank their hits, it's what happens afterwards that causes problems, including stuff like dancers. You could do Null Sea Disrupt plus Quick Riposte as a seal, but you lose out on more stats. I know it's a really rare skill still, but it's a strong ability to have if you want to stick to the colorless counter niche. Now for a super heavy investment build, you could use Close Counter. Sophia is decently tanky, but she just can't compete with someone like Winter Tharja if you want to do this same build. Regardless, she can pull it off, and the Bracing Stance upgrade helps make up for the lack of a stat boosting A skill. If you think Sophia has enough defenses, you can use the Fierce Stance Sacred Seal for extra attack, or you can use the Attack and Defense Sacred Seal if you can position her next to an ally. You also want to keep Quick Riposte since, let's be honest, Sophia is doubling nobody. While you're not your typical mage playstyle, the Eternal Tome doesn't hurt a build like this. It doesn't really help a ton since there are only a couple melee colorless units, but it does allow Sophia to fight off green and maybe some red melee enemies. Again, I would only do this type of build if you have serious merges on Sophia plus summoner support. Overall, Sophia got a good weapon from her most popular playstyle. It may not be for everyone, but she doesn't have a ton of other great builds due to her super low speed stat. At least it now opens the way for Leon to get a Naglfar refine. For Klein, our favorite death blow fodder gets a fantastic new weapon called the Argent Bow. Similar to Sophia, Klein just gets stronger if you use one of his best weapons, the Brave Bow. The Argent Bow has 1 extra might over a normal Brave Bow, but instead of a -5 speed penalty, it's only -2. That is really nice for speed focused quad builds. As usual, if Klein initiates combat, he attacks twice, and if he gets a follow-up attack, he attacks twice again, which is why it's called a quad attack. Brave bows are super popular on just about any archer because they can dish out a ton of damage, especially with Death Blow, which Klein already comes with. The Argent bow is already a solid upgrade. However, if you spend the Divine Dew, the special refinement adds Chill Defense 3. At the start of every turn, inflict -7 defense on the foe with the highest defense stat. This is a fantastic ability for a weapon focused on dealing damage, and Klein's allies also benefit from it. Overall, it's an amazing new weapon and refinement for Klein. It's a straight upgrade over his normal Brave Bow, and the added Chill Defense effect gives him some uniqueness compared to the archers with better offensive stat lines. Building for the Argent bow is super simple. Stack as much damage as you can get and maybe tack on some speed if you want those crazy quad attack assaults. For Klein, he already has Death Blow 3, which is perfectly fine since many times you only need 2 shots anyway. With a chill effect on his weapon, Klein can run a Chill B skill too, and double chills is very annoying to face. You can run a lot of B skills for this simple build, including more PvE oriented perks like Wings of Mercy or Escape Route. Besides the Divine Dew for the upgrade, Klein can be very cheap to build. Now if you want to take advantage of that lower speed penalty, Klein needs speed boosting skills to get more follow-ups for quad attacks. Life and Death is a fun A skill granting +5 attack and speed at the cost of -5 defense and res. It's a gamble, but if Klein doesn't get hit, the payoff is huge. This is a great setup for PvE since generally Klein can take out range units before they can retaliate, and melee enemies normally don't have distant counter. With some dancers, Klein can clean up tons of maps by himself. While tough to activate, Desperation would also allow quad attacks to bypass enemy counterattacks, which can be quite deadly. With the addition of the Darting Blow Sacred Seal, Klein can now get an additional +6 extra speed, and that goes a long way for a Brave Bow. As for some additional skills, they are still super rare, but Klein can use Death Blow 4 and Sturdy Impact. Death Blow 4 just adds even more damage, but Sturdy Impact grants +10 defense, which can allow Klein to survive counterattacks he previously could not. His base 20 defense isn't super low, so he should easily take at least 1 hit. For B skills, Klein can make great use of Special Spiral since the Argent bow can charge specials fast thanks to its 2 hits. Klein could run Luna, and once he procs it 1 time, he will always proc it on his second attack every initiation. In the Sacred Seal slot, we now have the Attack and Speed Bond skill, which is a huge boost if you can activate it. It will be tough to do so, but it can potentially grant the most benefit of any seal here with another +5 attack and speed. In conclusion, if you like Klein or you just like Brave Bow archers, the Argent bow is a fantastic new weapon. Even if you don't pick up the Chill Defense refinement, it's still a solid upgrade for Klein. Our third refine is for Delthea. Her Dark Aura Tome did not receive any changes to its base effect. Every turn, if Delthea is next to any melee ally, she grants them +6 attack for 1 turn. Essentially, Delthea has these stats to be a powerhouse blue mage, but her unique weapon only helps support her allies. 36 attack and 34 speed is pretty potent, and while Delthea can dish out good damage, Dark Aura doesn't really improve that for herself. That changes with this update if you pick up the special refinement. If Delthea is within 2 spaces of a melee ally, she gets +5 attack and speed during combat. So this is a good ability in the sense that it's a free +5 attack and speed if Delthea is nearby her melee allies, which she is buffing anyway. The difference between 1 and 2 spaces is actually very large in this game and gives Delthea some moving room to position for an attack. This is much better than if it was a bond type effect. So to get the best usage of Dark Aura's upgrade, you definitely need to run Delthea with some good melee units. She would be great on a 4-man team where she is the lone mage picking up magical damage duty, or in a mode like Rival Domains where you have tons of allies to play with. With Dark Aura's stat boost, Delthea will have a nice 41 attack and 39 speed with a total of 55 attack with her weapon's might. While it's still not a full-on offensive weapon, Dark Aura at least now plays to some of Delthea's natural strengths as a high damage mage. With Dark Aura's split usability, Delthea can be taken in a few different roles. By granting +6 attack to melee allies, Delthea can craft a makeshift Hone melee buff by adding Hone Speed to her build. Hone Speed 3 is fine, but with the new Hone Speed 4 available, it's the better option. I would also say Joint Hone Speed is a good compromise since it also buffs Delthea herself, and she can definitely use the extra speed. If I had the option, I would go with Joint Hone Speed. In her base kit, Delthea already has Death Blow, so if you want to keep it, you can pair it with the Darting Blow Sacred Seal for more speed buffs. Delthea can cause absolute havoc on enemies who can't retaliate, but she cannot take any physical hits very well. She can fight off mages, but don't expect her to be a great all-around brawler. For another build, Delthea can be a great special spiral user. Her high damage output combined with more attack from Dark Aura can dish out powerful special procs. If you use Glimmer or Moonbow, special spiral will continuously recharge them for Delthea's next engagement. As a blue mage, Delthea will have to clash with Ophelia as the magical nuke freight team. While Ophelia runs AoE specials a lot easier, Delthea can make it work, although you will need heavy or flashing blade. Personally, I think Ophelia is better with Special Spiral, but maybe you don't have her or you want to use her. Regardless, with Special Spiral, both of them become very scary mages. As a final build option, Delthea can find a happy medium between support and offense with ploy skills. She has 31 base resistance, and with Fury or a plus res boon, she can bump that up to a healthier 34. Delthea can run double ploy skills such as speed ploy and attack ploy. This obviously benefits herself, but it also works for her allies too. Plus, she is already buffing melee allies with her extra attack. If you're going to run Fury, Desperation is a fine option and adds some nice safety measures while improving Delthea's damage output. Overall, I think this might be one of her more interesting sets since we have a ton of strong blue mages. Dark Aura may not be super imposing, but it's another weapon that blends support with damage for the user, and it strikes a decent balance. Delthea is a strong mage herself, but to get the most out of Dark Aura, you will have to pair her with the right melee teammates. Before moving on, I do want to quickly discuss how Lind can use Dark Aura. To be clear, Lind must first get Dark Aura from the Weapon Refinery for 150 Divine Dew, and if she wants to refine it, that's another 200 Divine Dew on top. It's very pricey, but is it worth it? Delthea and Lind are very similar, with Lind standing out a little with 2 extra speed versus Delthea's 1 extra attack. Personally, I think the two of them will perform very similarly in terms of damage, with Lind being slightly ahead since getting that extra follow-up attack will make a huge difference. She can get the same +5 attack and speed from her normal aura tome, just with different ally conditions being tome and staff users. Unless you really care about buffing melee allies, I would say it's not worth the trouble, but it's not a bad choice either. If you want to use Lind with more mages or healers, use regular aura. If you want to use her with melee allies, then use Dark Aura at the cost of a lot of Divine Dew. Last but not least, we have Sonya. Much like Delthea, Sonya's Dark Excalibur keeps its original effect where it deals +10 damage on special triggers. This is still the only rolled out type tome, so Sonya still has her unique niche. If you pick up the special refinement at the start of turn 1, Sonya gets -2 special cooldown count. This is just like Navarre's refinement, and it's basically Quicken Pulse too. It only works one time, but that is very important because if Sonya can unleash her special, she gets that +10 extra damage. She's not the scariest green mage out there with only 33 attack and 31 speed. That's not super amazing, but with this new Dark Excalibur, Sonya can make up for her shortcomings. Because of Dark Excalibur's +10 damage on special triggers, Sonya was already a popular mage to be paired with infantry pulse teams. Ranged units with instant specials ready are very tough to deal with and can be incredible units to just have for even deleting one enemy to start off a battle. With the Quicken Pulse refinement, it becomes even easier to get Sonya her instantly charged special. She can have Glimmer or Moonbow +10 damage by herself, give her the Quicken Pulse seal, and that can become Luna or Iceberg +10 damage. The real kicker is if you can get Sonya her 4-turn Glacies. With her natural 32 resistance plus Mirror Strike, she gets a 28 damage Glacies. Add Dark Excalibur's damage, and that is 38 extra damage on top of her basic attack, which is just very daunting to tank on turn 1. Sonya is amazing for short battles, and if she can delete one unit by herself, then that can make a lot of arena runs so much simpler. I know it's been a heavy special spiral video, but Sonya might just be the biggest benefactor of this skill. Skills like Quicken Pulse do nothing after turn 1, but if they can get Sonya closer to her special activation, then the special spiral loop takes over. Again, 2 cooldown specials like Moonbow or Glimmer work great here, but AoE specials work nicely with the +10 damage from Dark Excalibur. If you aren't aware, that 10 damage applies to every enemy hit by the area of effect, so if Sonya doesn't have the highest base attack stat, she can still dish out a lot of pain. It's a great ability, but Sonya will have to run Heavy or Flashing Blade, and she doesn't have the base stats to proc either one super reliably. It's deadly, but you will have to work for it unless you have a heavily invested Sonya. To help Sonya get her first round special procs, you can give her certain allies to make it easier. Any infantry pulse user can give her -1 cooldown, and multiple infantry pulses do stack. In a similar fashion, Legendary Hector's Osteus Pulse skill does the exact same thing, and he's a great support unit for these type of builds. Sonya with Dark Excalibur refined plus Quicken Pulse seal plus Hector can get her the 4 charges needed for Glacies. To make it even easier, allies support Sonya with Valoria. Valoria's unique weapon grants -2 cooldown for her ally supported partner. Dark Excalibur refined plus of Valoria instantly grants 4 special charges, which is just insane. The only downside is that since AI units can't use ally support, I don't think Valoria's weapon applies if you use her in arena or 8th Raids defense teams. If you wanted to use Sonya for defense teams where you have an instantly charged special, you can use Hector, Infantry Pulses, or Quicken Pulse. If a Sonya has that instant Glacies ready, you better have a plan to take her out first. She may not be the best mage for continuous battles, but boy can she end a fight real fast. Sonya needs some team support to be truly scary, but if she can get it, her instant ready specials should be feared. Since Merrick can sidegrade into Dark Excalibur, he too can get this new refinement. Unfortunately, there is a bigger gap between Sonya and Merrick compared to Delthea and Lind. The goal of Dark Excalibur should be first turn burst damage, and if we are doing that, we want the mage with the higher attack. 7 less attack than Sonya is a big difference, and I don't think he's an amazing user of Dark Excalibur. I could see Merrick being able to run tankier setups than Sonya, but he would need a way to recharge his specials faster, and I think Special Spire would be a must in those scenarios. Personally, I think Merrick should stick to his unique slaying tome with flyer effectiveness. However, I won't stop you if you're going to give him Dark Excalibur. That wraps up this video on the update 3.3 round of new weapons and upgrades. As a reminder, if you have a 5-star Sophia or Klein, you can get their new weapons with just SP. If you want those refinements, however, those cost divine due. Overall, this is a good set of upgrades. I don't feel like any of these are super crazy, as in this unit is top tier now, but they play to the strengths of each hero well. Everyone kind of keeps their same playstyles, they just get a nice little boost, and sometimes that's about as much as you can ask for. I'm not sure if I'll be spending divine due on any of these units, but let me know if you plan on upgrading anybody. If you already have, please feel free to share with others your thoughts on any new weapons or upgrades and what kind of builds you are trying out. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys in the next video.